Good evening, everyone. Guys, it's time for a little bit of speculation, and things are worse than I thought. In the context that if you've been watching the news, if you've been looking at what's happening with the planned protests today, it looks like it's gone relatively smooth. Yes, there's some things going off in different parts of the country. Now, go and watch the video. In fact, after this video, at the end of this one, I will link the last video I did. And I wanted to get that video out before 8 o'clock. Because 8 o'clock tonight was the time that the protests were planned. Various different locations all over the country. I don't know how many there is. I've heard from 30 to 39 to just under 100. The reality is I don't know. Now, what we've actually seen is a relatively zero turnout from the protesters, whoever have organised this protest. Now that to me says a couple of things. First of all, they've got a really comprehensive communications network. Second, that the counter-protests are taking everything on board and they don't have any intelligence gathering capacity themselves. Thirdly, I think whoever's running this has military experience in counterinsurgency. And I'm just saying that, guys. That's my speculation, my thoughts, my suspicions, my opinion. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because if you're on one of these counter-protests and you're on, I don't know, one of these groups called... Guys, let me just caveat this before I go on, all right, so you know where I stand. I think we should stop the boats. I think Britain's full. We don't have any room for any more immigration. I think we need a strong police service, and I think we need strong and robust laws. Guys, call me old-fashioned, but that's just me. Anyway. Now, if you're one of these counter-protesters, these hope not hate guys, a lot of these people will be self-funding, so they can only go to so many of these protests. Now, today in the UK, it was like, high-end estimates were that there were 100 protests. Think how much money has been spent out of the pockets from Hope Not Hate, or whatever these guys are called. I'm sure there's different, I'm sure there's different groups. When they all come out on the street and they're all chanting, yeah, we've counter-protest these far-right evil people, No, all they've done is waste their own money because there's nobody there. What are they going to do? Counter-protest against no one? You see where I'm going, guys, right? This is like, it's a move that you do to get the opposite side to use all their resources. Let's not forget, the police will be using resources. The police will be spending money. The police will be sat there when they should be at home with their families. So all this sort of stuff, if there was never any planned protests in the first place, it's a brilliant way to get your opposition to waste their money and to run out of steam. Let me just read you some of the articles that have been posted in the last, couple of minutes. Where are we? This one. So let me just refresh it, see if anything else has happened. Yeah, so this was, the last update to this was at 9:01 and it's 9:18. No sign of disorder in Liverpool. Hundreds of people outside an asylum an asylum link office in Liverpool to support refugees and immigrants. So there you see, these locations have all been identified and they've said, right, this is where we're going to protest. And then hundreds of people have turned up at these locations to do a counter-protest. But if there was never any intention of a protest, it's just a waste of resources. Peaceful atmosphere at Sheffield, counter-protest. Around 1,500 people are taking part in a counter-protest in Sheffield this evening. Again, if there's no protesters there, who are they counter-protesting? You see where I'm going with this? Anti-immigration protesters outnumbered in Southampton. So 10 anti-immigration protesters have arrived in Southampton this evening, while hundreds of counter-protesters are marching in Grosvenor Square, chanting "Racists go home, racists go off our streets." So you see there, 10 people turned up, and these may just be 10 people who just, you know, didn't get the right message or whatever, or they just, I don't know. But you see where I'm going now, guys. There's a lot of people wasting a lot of time, effort, money, resources, fuel getting down there, taking the day off work, finishing early. It's kind of like, you know, in reverse, the boy who cried wolf. Hate not welcome here, crowd shout. Hundreds of people have taken to the streets in East London, chanting, clapping and preaching messages of peace. Many of them holding signs, hate's not welcome here, stop the far right, I welcome refugees. Guys, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So basically what I think's happened here is, I think this has been a like a psyop or a false flag, that whoever's organising the anti-immigration protests, they've just said, right, do you know what? We're going to get these guys to waste their money. So a lot of these people, like I said, take time off work, spend their own money to get down there. They're really like, yeah, let's do this. Okay, what about the next time? Right, we're going to have these protests. No one turns up again. Oh, right, okay. And they're just, you know, if they keep doing this, they're just going to keep, people are going to make fools of them. And they're going to feel foolish because they're going to be storming through the streets on their own and there's nobody going to be there. They're going to be, oh, right, okay. What are you guys doing? Oh, we're counter-protesting. Who are you counter-protesting? The evil far right. Where are they? I don't know. You see what I mean, guys, all right? Eventually, they're just going to stop. And then what's going to happen is, through the correct chain of command, through the correct communications lines, the far right, or whatever you want to brand them, will say, right, we're going to have a protest at X, Y, Z. And then those protests will go ahead. And it's kind of like I said, you know, the guys, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf, but in reverse. So that's what's happening on the street, guys. And that's a lot more terrifying, that things are organised this well, in the sense that, you know, they managed to get all these people to go out, waste their own time, waste their own money. And for what? What have they achieved? Nothing, because there's no protesters there. So that's what's happening on the streets at the moment, guys. You know, like I said, it looks at the moment like things are peaceful, but nobody's turned up. So that, you know, that to me really does say that this was orchestrated in a way just to take the wind out of their sails, get them to waste their own money. Now, in other news, we've had, and again, this has not made any news in the United Kingdom, and I'll tell you why it's important. There's been huge fighting in Syria. Now, Syria is one of those countries, it's oil rich, it's Russian-backed, but it's got, in the northeast region of Syria, there's a northeast corridor of Syria. There's a region of, I think the PKK fighters, the Peshmerga, which are US-backed. Now, what's been happening over the last, I was there in and that's where I had the incident with the water bottle, which is why I tell you all to always have enough water. I was there, I think, in 2017, 2018, no, I was there, I think 2019 I was there. Anyway, when I was there, you know, the US military were in that region, that northeast corridor of Syria, and they'd taken control of the oil fields. Now, as I understand, the US military have left, although there may be some contractors still down there, ex-military, whatever, I genuinely don't know. Now, they've taken a lot of that oil, they've taken over a lot of that oil field, and you know, it's old-fashioned oil derricks, but it's, you know, it's an oil-rich place. Most recently, there's been attacks in this region by the Syrian forces, and they've managed to take take back one of the oil fields. Now, let me just read this to you guys. Syrian tribal forces seize US Kurdish-backed village, capture coalition soldiers, report. The incident marks the largest tribesman attack on Syrian Democratic Forces since the start of the Arab Tribal Rebellion in 2023. Now, so what you've got, guys, you've got US-backed forces being attacked by Russian-backed Syrian forces. So you see how this whole Middle East conflict, you know, there's more of this stuff flaring up and flaring up. And whoever controls this oil, these oil fields, controls a huge amount of money, because, you know, not many people talk about the oil fields in Syria, but they are really, really substantial, and a lot of money will be coming out of there. Where's that money going? I have no idea. But, you know, these rebel forces, well, I say these Peshmerga forces, they're US backed. Excuse me. So it would make total sense that this would be going towards some sort of US thing, if I want, you know, if you can say thing. But yeah, that whole region, that northeast region, I think that's about to flare up again with fighting, because it's starting to happen already. They're starting to seize oil fields. There's been fighting in what's it called, Kamishli, yeah, Kamishli. Guys, just you know, I used to work in this region, and it was an absolute nightmare to get there. You used to have to go from, when I used to go into the country, I used to have to land in Erbil. From Erbil, it was a 3-hour road move up to a place called Fishkabor. From Fishkabor, you would cross over the river on like this metal boat thing, and then you had to go and wait in the immigration office. That wasn't an immigration office, that couldn't put stamps in your passport. They just looked at it and gave you like a little ticket number. And when you came back, you gave him the ticket number back, and he marked it off his book. Guys, it was insane. It was the insanest way I've ever been into a country. From there then, at Fishkabor, it would be a like 12-hour road move to where we were staying in Kobani. Now, on that route, if for whatever weather you had to lock down or stay somewhere, you was always told you do not go near Kamishli, because it is a, you know, it's a volatile area. Where we would stay in a place called Amuda. Now, that whole trip from start to finish, it's about, you know, if you got straight off the aeroplane, got into your truck and went, it takes about maybe, I don't know, 18 hours. It's, you know, it's a really, really hard trip to do. Now, the US military that were operating in that area, they gave it quite a bit of security and stability. Now, the US military have left. I feel they've left a vacuum, and that vacuum, because of the oil, because of the energy resources there, I think we're going to start to see more fighting in northeast Syria. Now, obviously, you've got the Russians involved. It's right on the Turkish border. It's on the Iraqi border. You've got all this stuff. So that looks to me like it could be another, another Middle East hotbed that's about to flare up. But, you know, guys, at the moment, everything's off the board, because there's so much about to happen that, you know, it's hard to predict these things, what will happen at all. But yeah, like I said, guys, all right, the main jokes of this video is what's happened today. The lack of protest means that it kind of means that whoever's organising the protests has a really good communications network. They have really good command and control, and they are really well organised, because they understand the psychology of these counter-protesters. They understand all this stuff, and to me it just smells like it's state-backed. And, you know, it's probably not British. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee it's not British state-backed. So then, who are we thinking about? Who are going to be the state backers that are going to be backing this? Guys, I don't know. This rabbit hole goes deep, and if you keep following the why, it will fry your brain. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to get this video out before it was bedtime, and I will be with you in the morning, because no doubt there will be some incidents up through the night, and we'll see what's happening. Like I said, I'll tell you in the morning, guys. I'm going to back to grid.